Yeah, I think just first of all, excited about getting ready to start spring practice. For a lot of reasons, but obviously first time here. Our guys have been working really hard this offseason in the winter program. Coach Nico and his staff done a great job. I've seen a lot of gains in the weight room. A lot of guys' weights have changed, which is good to see. Changed their bodies. We'll finish that up tomorrow, and then we get to see what guys can do football wise. We've seen them lift and run around, but throw some pads on and let's see them hit and see how they can make plays with actual playing some football. We've talked about this, but we had 13 transfers come in midterm. We had 7 high school players come in midterm, so we do have some turnover on this team from last year. So that'll be interesting to see how those guys fit in with the guys that have been here. Also, really looking forward to the competition that we're going to have at every position. We've told the guys when we got here, we told them, I remind them again yesterday, that every position is up for grabs. I don't care if you've started 4 years. We're every position is up for grabs. It's going to make everybody compete and work hard. If you had a starting position to be able to continue that on in your career, or somebody may come to try to get your job, which I think it's healthy for a program to be able to have that. Couple notes on some guys. Bryan has been participating in weights as well as some of the things we've been doing on the field. He is well ahead in his progression, coming off of his surgery in the fall. He will not be 100% starting spring practice, but we anticipate once we get back from spring break that he's going to be close to 100%. So, which will be great. I'm happy for him. He's done a great job, and our training staff has done a great job of getting him back ready to go. So, we'll be able to get some good looks at him. Ryan Montgomery's coming back from this minor surgery, and so he'll be limited starting practice as well. And I hadn't really addressed this, but Keyshawn Helton, he will not be able to participate. Had an injury, had a hip injury, and does not get cleared medically, so will not be doing anything this spring. And then we finish out April 15th with our spring game. Looking forward to seeing everybody come out for that. Hopefully we'll feel nippered up and be able to see the progression we've made since we've gotten here. So that'll be fun, April 15th, and hopefully the weather will be great for that as well. So with that, I'll just open it up for questions.
Coach, how important are these first 3 days where you're able to get everything on tape and then you've got a week for spring break to kind of go back over it? Do you plan to use that as kind of a test run and then reevaluate over the next week and come back?
Yeah, I think first 2 days were just helmets, so it's kind of really it's hard to see exactly. It's not true football, particularly when you look at offensive and defensive lines. You can't really get a feel for the pads and popping pads until that third day. So that third day we'll put the shoulder pads on, which will be great to see. It's really going to be, for us, implementing offense, defense, and doing some special team drill work in those first 3 practices, really base fundamental stuff, trying to get guys lined up and doing the things that we're asking them to do fundamentally, and who can grasp it mentally. I think, that's going to be the big, question for me to get answered is mentally who can handle what we're trying to put onto them. Offense, defensively, in particular, and in what positions do we need to put guys? I think that's going to be another big question for us. A guy maybe that played corner, maybe a safety for us. A guy that played safety, maybe sliding down to an outside backer. That's just an example. So I think those are things that are going to be interesting to see how these guys pan out.
You had some late staff shuffling. How do you approach a situation like that, and have you ever experienced something like that before in your career?
Yeah, we experienced it. For me, I've always been a type of head coach to not ever want to hold anybody back, really. We had guys get some opportunities. Gasparotto had an opportunity to go call defenses, and he's never had that in his career, and he wanted that opportunity to have that experience. And I was like, man, go for it. I think Coach Manning had an opportunity. He's one of the highest paid position coaches in the NFL. Had a great opportunity, and he felt like that's where he wanted to go. I was like, man, we're not going to hold you back. I always tell our guys everybody's replaceable, and we're going to bring guys in just as good, if not better, than what the guy that left. But I also think as a coach, if you're always replaceable, you're going to work hard. because if you slip a little bit, somebody's going to take your spot. There's always guys out there that want these jobs, and the worst thing for me is whenever that happens, my phone doesn't stop ringing. Everybody's calling, everybody's trying to get in, and this is a great job here. We've got some great positions here for guys to come in here and coach, and I felt like we've added some great coaches, and guys that I know. That have been around and done some great things. Coach Fuke, that was at Georgia State, calling defenses. He's called defense the last 10 years. It's some great experience coming in there to help Coach Brown and his staff. And Coach Glenn was with me at App State. We won 3 national championships, beat Michigan 07. it's a very innovative thinker, great on game day. So excited to have him to be a part of our staff. I think I look at it as guys that they have opportunities and. Here's the other thing I always think. If guys on our staffs throughout the years are getting sought after, we got the right ones. If you got a staff that nobody ever comes after, that's not healthy. And so there is a fine line there, but I'm happy for the opportunities guys they have for themselves.
That like an AD where you have the 5-10 names in your desk drawer, or is there like a secret coaching board where you have if not this, we'll go here, we'll go there?
Yeah, we've always got names and guys that I've come across and coached with over the years. I'm always also looking at young guys because I love the young guys that have worked their way up. They're always eager, they're hungry, and they're talented. To be able to bring in on staff. But I also look at, all right, what do we need for this coach at this particular time? And because I want a bunch of different style of coaches. You don't want just a bunch of, cerebral coaches or yellers or, motivate. You want a bunch of different kind of guys to have a good mix on your coaching staff. And so I always look at that as well. So whenever somebody does leave, I'm looking at what do we need to fill, what, void do we have on this staff that we need to be able to fill. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Nice hat, by the way, Bull City there.
I didn't know you were from Durham.
Oh, yeah.
I like minor league baseball.
Speaking of baseball, I guess your two guys are sticking with football after yesterday, Dontay and Mason.
After what I saw, 100%. They have no shot at doing anything throwing wise. It was not very good.
Are you ever shocked at how many Appalachian State guys are in coaching? 'Cause it feels like they're everywhere.
There's a lot, and when Manning was here, he was at Mount Union. There's a ton of Mount Union guys that are out there coaching as well, but very similar programs. One's a D3 level, and we were at 1AA or FCS, and now Division I at App State. But very similar programs in the fact of they had a lot of coaches, legendary coaches that were there for many years that put out a lot of guys. The thing about those two coaches, those two programs, was that if you played in that program, you want to be like that guy. And so I just felt like, a lot of guys that wanted to coach because they wanted to be like that guy and the way that they made people feel. And so both of those programs have put out a ton of coaches, and I'm proud to be one of those guys at App State, and I think a lot of really good coaches too. So it's awesome for me to be able to see that.
You talked about Coach Glenn and Coach Nate there. Just talk about Coach Braswell and what he brings to the table. Obviously, he's coached at all different levels, high school, college.
Yeah, one thing I love high school coaches. Coach Braz was a high school coach, head coach in Georgia, Tennessee, and we were able to – he used to come over there all the time and just, clinic with us and watch practice and talk ball. We hired him at Louisville as a quality control and analyst there. I did a phenomenal job, and then got an opportunity to go to App State and coach there as well. And then he's been in Army for the last couple of years. Great recruiter. He's awesome with the kids, and a really good staff guy. And so, to me, he's one of those young up. He's hungry. He wanted to get in the college game after being in high school so long. The reason why I like high school coaches is because those guys have to do everything. You're a high school head coach. You're washing laundry. You're lining the fields. You're dealing with parents, and obviously you got to be able to coach, and you got to deal with all the different personalities of a high school team. And now he's got one position group. It's a lot easier, but he's already had to deal with all those things as a head high school coach. So he's got the experience in college now, and I think that was the one thing that I thought was lacking when we first got into college, and now he's been in here, college now for 5 years, and so. He's ready. He's ready to be here with us and help us compete for championships.
With Coach Glenn coming in so late in the process, how important was his past knowledge, understanding of kind of your offense coming in?
Yeah, that was a big part of it, but I haven't worked with Brad I think the last time was 2008. So I feel like it wasn't that long ago, but that was a long time ago. But a lot of the terminology that we used back then, we're still having some of the same things that we're using now. And then along the way, we've added some things. He's added some things. And I think, now, you come in and he picks right up where he left off, 15 years ago, really. When we used to call it this, now we're calling it that. Really it's terminology. It's a little bitty coaching details that he's going over. I know what he brings to the table. I know how his demeanor is. I know how he's going to interact with the student athletes, with the staff. I know what I'm getting in that. He's an awesome dad, father, husband. I know the full person. And I think as sometimes when you're going to hire people, if you go outside of maybe some of the people that you don't really truly know what you're getting at times. And so I've coached with some guys that had some great resumes and didn't really fit well with our staff. And so those are some of the things that you weigh. You have to weigh that whole thing out. But Brad again brings a lot to the table here, and he'll make us a better offense.
Are you a guy that's done much tinkering, moving offensive guys to defense, defensive guys to offense? I know probably not this spring because you're just getting settled, but do you have a lot of that in your past?
And sometimes maybe not the opposite side of the ball, but maybe a different position on the side they're on. We do that a lot, and we'll do that this spring. I mean, there'll be guys that on defense will learn 3 different spots, and offensively, as a guy maybe a wide out, does he need to be more close to the ball as a tight end, that kind of thing. We've done it, and we have done some things across the ball as well. We'll see how it goes. That's the one thing we're interested in to see. We want to try to put our players in the best position to make plays wherever that position is. And, sometimes guys are reluctant to move, but also once they do, then their career starts taking off. So a little bit of convincing there sometimes. But I really just want to put the guys in the best place to make plays where they can help our team.
Looking at the quarterback and Malik Cunningham and how much of a part he was of your offenses at Louisville, is that what you're striving for here with whoever the starting quarterback is going to be, being a big part of the offense?
Well, yeah, I mean, the quarterback better be a big part of your offense or you don't have a very good offense. So whatever the talent is that quarterback possesses, that's what we want to utilize. And we don't have anybody here that can run like Malik. I mean, he was different in that regard. But also, some of these guys have a different skill set sitting in the pocket making throws. So, it's going to be interesting to see, all right, what can they do? What do they do well? And how do we need to cater our offense to fit the talent that they have? And that's going to be an interesting room to watch. I mean, there's some guys that can do it, some talented players in that room. Man, they're great to work with. They're all eager to learn, eager to get better. It's been fun to watch them in the last month. So I'm anxious to go out there and really see how much they can absorb and take in. And then once the whistle's blown, how well do they make decisions? Because as a quarterback, it's got to be split-second decision-making, pre-snap, post-snap, in RPO game. So it's going to be interesting. That's going to be fun to watch.
A lot of transfers here, but the 3 that you're very familiar with, Dorian Jones and Luke Kandra and D. Wiggins, is it safe to say they might have a leg up? I mean, they're guys that you know a lot about.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have a leg up, because they know our system. They've been in it. They've performed at a high level in it. They've all, played a bunch for us at Louisville at a high level. So I would say they do have a leg up, by coming in, just for that regard, just terminology and knowing what to do. But they're all 3 also, really, really good people. And they're coming in here to help us compete and win. And so they'll be great teammates, and they'll help the other guys. They'll try to teach them, and that's what we want. I love it when our players teach the other players. They'll be a part of that. But I know what they can do on the field. They can play. They'll help our team. And I'd also think they're going to help the players around them to elevate their game as well.
Are you still using the "hello, my name is" tag in the wide receiver room? How difficult is it going to be to get that room up to speed quickly this spring?
That's going to be probably the most challenging position that we have on the roster. We lost, I think, 7 to the portal, 2 to the NFL. We signed 2. I think we brought in 3 transfers, and we're still looking for more, in that room. So we don't have a lot of experience there, the guys that have played. I mean, D. Wiggins, has played a bunch in his career. It's going to be interesting, to see who can help us in that group, and then what do we need to try to go out and get after the spring to really solidify that room. I like to have 11 guys on scholarship in that room. We're not there yet. You don't play that many, but you want to have that in scholarship-wise. So that's the room we got to do the most work in.
Has Chris Scott been an asset there as a guy that's played?
He's looked good. He's looked good. And, he's the only one coming back off the team from last year. I don't even know how many catches he had. Not many, but he's bringing a little bit of experience. But he's looked good. He's done some good things. He's been a good leader for us. He's been, he should be a contributor on special teams and all that. But as far as the wide receiver room goes, I anticipate him playing and being a part of that. And and so then we'll see who else can come in and make their mark. But Barry Jackson's a guy, is a true freshman that came in. He's looked good so far. I think he can potentially help, and some of the other transfers that we brought in. So yeah, that room to me is going to be the most interesting.
He's been dinged up before. Is this something that he can come back come August?
I don't think so. I think he's dealing with more of a hip injury that he had prior to coming here. It'll be something that we'll evaluate. At the end of this semester to kind of see where we're at. It's not looking good at this point, but we'll see where it's at. Right now, he's going to be helping us coach this spring, and he's got a great attitude about it. He's fun to be around, and so he's just going to help the guys in that room to do the best they can do.
Shaman flashed last season in the spring game. What is your expectations for him heading forward? Obviously, you lose Lenny and Josh to the NFL. What are your expectations for a guy like Shaman?
Watching him run around, he's got great size and he's got some twitch. He's quick. He does have some top end as well. He's coming off a shoulder surgery that he had in the off season. So how limited he is, that's going to be a question mark. I don't know if we're going to get a 100% full back this spring. He'll be able to do individual routes on air, some 7-on-7 stuff like that. But because I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. I think he's got a big upside, and because he can catch the football. I mean, he's close to 260 pounds, and he can run. And so the thing that we won't find out about is the blocking aspect within that tight end room for him, just because of his shoulder. But he's on schedule to come back, and we'll evaluate him more in a few weeks, see where he's at.
You mentioned every position kind of being up for grabs. You haven't seen most of these guys on the field. Do you go into it with maybe a hierarchy in your mind of what the depth chart might look like, or are you completely wide open?
No, we don't. We really don't have starters and backups. We just call them like group 1, you're up. Group 2, you're up. Because we don't know. Like, we really don't know. And I really told our staff, I don't want any preconceived notions. I really don't care what anybody's done in the past. I want them to come in with a clean slate, and if you started here before, Briggs, for example, then let's go prove it again, And I think it kind of rejuvenates the older guys. It kind of makes them step it up and say, all right, let's go. I got to prove myself again. These guys don't know what I can do. Let me show them what I can do. And I look forward to that, And I think I know what they're going to do, but I look forward to seeing that. But it also takes a guy who maybe was a young guy last year, maybe didn't play a whole lot, to say, man, I'm going to get a fair shot here. Let me go see what I can do. So I think what it does, you get 100% everybody. And that in turn is going to make everybody better and elevate their game. And then, the cream will rise up. And, but we do have a little bit different scheme defense. We do have a little bit different on offense. So how they fit within our scheme will be, something that will determine who's the best for that as well.
What's it mean to have the talent and experience of Dontay, Mason Fletcher, and Ben Bryan back with so much turnover this offseason on the roster?
It's huge. Anytime you can get some guys back that have performed at a high level, I mean, that is big time for us. And, I feel like we don't have a ton of those guys, that are coming back that play like that. But the ones that we do have, man, we're excited they're back and they're here because you can't put a price on the experience. I mean, if they've gone out and they've played in big games with the lights on, the people in the stadium, on TV, there's something to be said for that and that experience. And so, we lean on those type guys. We lean on them to come in and know how to do it. They know how they won a bunch of football games, being the way they are. So.
Obviously there's a lot on-field stuff that you guys are looking at and evaluating. How do you handle the cultural aspect, being a new coach, new staff with obviously a lot of guys who were recruited under the previous staff? What's your process there in the spring?
Yeah, man, we're going out here and we're treating these guys as if we recruit them like they're our own. They are. They're us. These are our guys, and so we're going to pour everything we have into these guys and give them everything that we have, and we want to get that in return from them, and then we'll see who's going to end up playing. I told them we're pulling for each and every one of you guys to be the best that you can possibly be. And we'll see who we end up trotting out there to play. We got 15 practices right here. We're not playing a game this spring. We'll save that for the fall. But let's see how good we can get. Let's take it one day at a time, and get as good as we can get fundamentally, understanding the scheme. And then at the end of this thing, after we go through the next summer, then we'll figure out who's going to be our guys.
You didn't really have last year it wasn't you, but there wasn't really a back that separated like Jerome Ford from the previous year. Do you see one of the guys doing that this year, including the new ones?
I don't know. We'll see. The thing about running backs is it doesn't matter what they look like right now. Who can break tackles? Who can make a guy miss in space? Who can hold on to the football? Who can protect in third down when you need to protect? Those are things you can't tell until you put the pads on and you start scrimmaging, and then being able to see and make a cut inside the tackle box. Those are the things that you just don't know until you start putting the ball down and we're playing real football. So we'll have to go a few weeks before we can answer a little bit of that question.
Any more questions? Thanks, Coach.
All right, appreciate it, guys.
We'll have Coach Brown.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
Coach, you're taking over a defense that's had a lot of success in recent years. How much does that challenge you? You got to keep this thing rolling here.
Well, I think it not only just the success that they had last year, but the success we had last year at Louisville. We're a top 15 defense in the country, number one in a lot of different categories in the conference, as well as number one in the country in sacks, top 3 in turnovers. So I want to keep that going as well. And but it's a challenge, especially going into a new conference, because you're playing different teams, different schemes each and every week, as well as this is a different roster than what it was last year. So we got our work cut out for us, and the guys working hard. And so hopefully this spring as well as summer, we can continue to strive to be the best we possibly can be on the football field on Saturdays next fall.
You're like a kid in the candy store with that defensive line. That almost looks like a billboard with what you had. And then, Malik Van comes back and Briggs is back. And that's obviously the selling point of the defense right now.
Yeah, we're excited about the defensive line from what those guys done last year, but as well as what our scheme is defensively here now. Our defensive line is going to be a very, very key part of our success here at Cincinnati. And having a guy like Briggs, Corleone, Van, you think about, just all those guys coming back. It's going to be exciting. But you're right, it's like a kid in the candy store right now, seeing those guys move around. So now I'm ready to see them put the pads on and let's get them things clacking. That's what I'm ready to see. So we're excited about that.
How do you handle guys like Deshaun or Taj or Jaheim who have played a lot in the past, but now are going to be new position, maybe new scheme? What's your approach to that?
Well, it's we got to find the right fit for what we want to get done, and we want our playmakers on the football field, wherever that may be. Whether it's moving Taj here to corner to safety to the star position. Same thing with DP, moving him to the safety or the star position as well. And he's, both of those guys, you think about those two just in general, they've, just want to come in and learn as much as they possibly can for multiple positions. So we will make sure that we can't take those guys off the field, right? Deshaun has been playing a lot of that star position to the field and has been doing a tremendous job there, as well as leading. He's doing a great job leading by example, but also by mouth now here lately. So that's a really good thing to see. And Jaheim as well. We're going to make sure we try to put him in positions where he can be successful, but also it fits what we're trying to do schematically.
Chad and Alex.
You mentioned Big 12, a lot of 4s and 5s in front of those numbers from Big 12 offenses. How much of a challenge do you look at that and say, there's been some defenses that have been successful in this league. Let's go be one of them.
Yeah, I think, when you think about the Big 12, you think about a traditional, just really, really good passing league, right? But you have some teams in there that do run the football. And so you got to be really balanced in your attack, whether it's bringing pressure, whether it's dropping 8, or whether it's, just playing rushing 4. So we have to do a really good job of understanding, number one, our job. But number two, what is it that this offense is trying to accomplish? And we know that, this is an offensive world, right? And we want to try to make sure that we do everything within the rules of the game to keep the opponents scoring down as much as possible. But we know they're going to score some points here and there. But we just got to make sure that we hopefully allow those guys to just, attempt field goals as well as scoring points once they get down in the red zone. So it's a real big challenge, going against a lot of offenses that are really good in the Big 12. But we look forward to that challenge.
Previous defensive coaching staff would spend more time in the spring and the fall for a specific opponent in the upcoming season. Are you intending to do that with any team in the Big 12, preparing for a specific opponent, how to stop their scheme on offense?
Would I tell you that? I'm just joking. No, we won't do that. I was just joking about, giving out our secrets, right? But no, I doubt we'll do that right now. It's really just about us, getting to know our guys, understanding what they can and can't do, what their strengths and their weaknesses are. And, once we understand the scheme and trying to get guys in the right position, it may be a time or two to maybe, throw a wrinkle here and there at them, and maybe for a period, and just kind of, give them an opponent that may be different than, a traditional offense. But I don't think it's not anybody in the Big 12 that's a different than a traditional offense. I think, sometimes people may work on the triple option. That's totally different. So you most definitely need to work on another team like that in the spring and summer. So as of right now, no, sir, we won't.
You mentioned the success at Louisville over the last few seasons. How excited are you to add a guy like Coach Nate to this defensive room to coach alongside you, and knowing the success he had at Georgia State over the recent years?
Oh, man, it's awesome to have Fuke, to be a part of our defensive staff. I've been knowing Coach Fuqua for a long time. He's been in the exact same system that we're, as far as defensively, schematically, what we're doing. So it's great to have a guy that's actually been in the fire. He has those scar wounds as well that understand, the weaknesses of the defense, the strengths of it, as well as meshing and bringing something to the table differently that they've done in the past. So it's great to be able to have another guy alongside of you that understands the game, understand how offensive wants to attack you, and to be able to give me some feedback and me to him as well.
How important was it to add a player like Dorian, and how much do you lean on him, especially in spring, just in terms of setting an example for how something looks or how certain positions handles, offensive situations?
Yeah, that's awesome to have Debo, to be a part of our team right now. And, he knows us. He knows the scheme. So he's able to help, especially the backers and even some of the, safeties and coverage-wise of what to expect, certain calls. And he's making a lot of calls, which is a good thing because he's been in it. So it's awesome to be able to have a guy like him that understands it, to be able to help us continue to push forward, and a guy in that locker room that can, help those guys understand, hey, this is how these coaches, this is what they mean, this is how they act, things of that nature. So it's going to be it's great to have Debo here with us.
Daniel Greziak has been listed as defensive end, as a linebacker. Do you have an idea on him yet, how you're going to use him, or is he just like, go get the quarterback, young man?
That's a good one. Really, that last one for sure, which is where we line you up, go get the quarterback. But not yet. We're in spring ball. It starts next week, and as of right now, we have him as a stand-up guy, outside linebacker. And, similar to what we had 22 at Louisville last year. So we're going to use him in multiple different ways so he can go get the quarterback and use his talents to the best of his ability. And but we're excited to have a guy like him, on our roster here.
Can you tell me about the new DBs? Pretty good reputation here for DBs with Sauce and guys like that in the past. But Taylor from Arizona State, and then you got some high school kids in here early also.
Yeah, those guys have worked hard in the weight room for sure, and then just trying to learn a defense as well. So it's different when you're just out there moving around, not having a ball and really competing. So we'll know a lot more about those guys, once we get really deep into ball, because it's not just about covering, it's about tackling as well. So we're excited about all the different transfers, whether it's Jordan Young, DJ Taylor, the young rookie and Raekwon. We're excited about all those guys, but we'll know a lot more once spring continues to go on. Who's the fastest? I couldn't tell you because we hadn't done a race yet. So we'll see a little bit in spring ball.
Speaking of Sauce, have you heard from him yet? Have you guys connected?
I have not. I would love to connect with him. You think about a legend, that's played the game here, that sat in those same locker rooms as those kids, and I don't know, did he win rookie of the year this year? Won rookie of the year. Just an amazing talent, and so I would love to connect with him, pick his brain on certain things, being a DB guy. Right now he's getting his education, so that's good. He's going to get ready to graduate, so he's taking classes. So hopefully I can connect with him at some point in time here, before he gets kicked off with his season as well.
Helps to be 6'3" with arms that go on forever.
No question. No question.
Those two inside backer spots, are they interchangeable, or are there distinctions between the two? And then maybe outside of Dorian, who are you guys looking at there?
Well, you want them to be interchangeable, but right now we just got basically the field and the boundary guy. But you think about Dingle, JT's back there at Mike linebacker as well. Sincere Lewis is there, so we got a good group to work with. Now just getting their feet wet and seeing really live bullets once we get started next week, and then we'll see how that rotation will end up.
How much emphasis do you put on creating turnovers and forcing turnovers?
You mean right now? Well, I think the biggest thing right now is just to have the guys understand their job. Of course you want to have turnovers and create negative plays, but I think the biggest thing for this group that has not been with this coaching staff is to understand what we're trying to get done schematically first before you're trying to go get interceptions and things of that nature. That will come within the scheme, but once we get into it, we most definitely will emphasize a lot about turnovers, with us being one of the best teams last year in turnovers, as well as sacks and TFLs.
So does Jaheim fit more maybe inside for you guys in this scheme?
Well, Jaheim is a little bit of both. He's a guy that, when you think about his high school film, he was a guy that could rush the passer. And right now that's where we have him, is that outside stand-up backer, like 22 last year. But he's also a guy that you could probably slide inside if need be. But he's a guy that can get after the rusher, after the passer from a rush standpoint. And so we'll use him in multiple different ways.
Sincere was a guy last year that kind of turned some heads as a true freshman. You haven't seen him on the field yet,
That's
but
right.
what do you think from the
Well,
initial?
just the movement skills. He moves well. So we'll see with the processing portion of it. Playing that linebacker spot when you're in 11 on 11 and things of that nature. But as of right now, he actually has done a really good job.
That mentioned wide receiver is one of those spots where you kind of see what you have in spring, and then maybe try and go out and get another one or two when the next window opens. Are there any positions on defense where you're thinking like we might have to be looking in May?
Well, I think once you go through spring ball, you'll have a little bit more inkling of what you want to try to get out of the portal. That's maybe in the portal, but we really would mind having maybe another safety for sure, and a possible pass rusher, and that's what we'll probably be looking for at the end of spring.
How do you and Kerry split the DB spots?
So Kerry coaches the corners, and I coaches the safety and the star. We all meet together. We'll break up, and so that's how we split it up. Good. Appreciate you guys. The nickel. That's it. Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Just, I know you haven't been here long, so curious kind of how that process went and your history with Coach Satt before coming here now.
Yeah, definitely a whirlwind. Life comes at you fast in this business. I think it was, 2 Sundays ago. I'm actually sitting on the couch Sunday night watching TV. Me and my wife were actually watching something on Netflix, Full Swing. If ever golfers out here and seen that's awesome. We were actually watching that, and Mark Spear, who I've known, I don't know, since I was 19 or 20 years old. We've actually coached together at 5 different spots. He gave me a call just to see if I was interested, and it kind of surprised me. At first he said Tom left, and are you interested at all? Kind of surprised me at first, and I said, of course, yeah, I'm interested. And he said, no, are you serious? And I said, well, give me a minute, and I've got 3 kids and my wife, and kind of ran it by them a little bit, and I told him, yeah, and Scott called me a little while after, and that got the ball rolling. And I kind of sat on it for a day, working at Virginia Tech. And, got up the next morning, just felt like it was the right thing to do, and got with Coach Satterfield, told him I was definitely in.
Tell you fit the mold of needing a name tag in the wide receiver room with as many new guys
exactly.
that are coming in?
There's been a lot of guys rolling through, and again, you got to find the right fit, and it's something that's definitely we're going to work on, see if we can get it done here pretty quick.
Does it seem perfect for you coaching the receivers? You don't know a whole bunch about them, and neither does anyone else for that matter.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm probably I've lost count, 30+ years of coaching, or right around 30 years. And I started coaching receivers. I probably got 10 to 12 seasons of coaching the wideouts under my belt. That's kind of where I first began in this business. But it's been a while. The last 14. I've coached quarterbacks, but it's exciting, to go back, and think about those guys, and in the passing game, and being a quarterback coach, you always kind of work directly with them, so it never really leaves you, when you're coaching a quarterback. So it'll be a quick transition.
Safe to say you'll have some input on the quarterback battle also.
I would think, Pete and myself, and Coach Sat, and then Josh Stepp, who's coaching the tight ends. We're all kind of quarterback guys, so I think we'll all put our heads together and figure it out, because you got to have a quarterback. That's where it all begins. No matter what level of ball you play at, when you got a quarterback, you got a chance. So you got to get that position right.
The Sat's a little unique in terms of him calling plays, but
Yeah.
he's talked about it being a really collaborative process. You've worked with him before. What do
Yeah.
you think your role will be in terms of game planning and play calling?
Going back to our time, I think we were together like 5 or 6 years at App, and we just see the game so similar. Believe in the same things on how to move the football and score points, and how to practice, and how to install, and how much you install. And we work together really close. We kind of got this style of offense off the ground, at App back in, I think my first year there was 2005. And we were kind of in the early phases of going from more traditional I-formation offense at App to going to the tempo spread type stuff. So we kind of got it off the ground there and put it together. Throughout the years we've kept in touch and, talked certain things, certain trends in offense, and I think it'll be pretty good, situation, just the way we see the game the same way.
Did you know much about Cincinnati, the school, the program?
I didn't know a whole lot, but one of the things that kind of, drew me to the place was just all the success Cincinnati's had in the past. The tradition, the history here, the bowl wins, the championships. I've kind of always just seen it from afar and been impressed by the program. And then, being able to go into a new conference, the Big 12, and kind of be on the ground floor of that transition kind of intrigued me. That was interesting. And, just if you can kind of replicate the success that's already been had here over the past, 15 or 20 years at that level, that's all you can ask for. So excited about the possibilities.
You mentioned Sat and Spear. I think you worked with Coach Sims at Western too,
Yeah.
right? So how natural does that make
Yeah,
coming in here?
very natural, and just the connections from Coach Spear and Coach Satterfield and Josh Stepp. We were 3 years together at Georgia State. Darrell Sims, we were together at Western Carolina, I think, for 3 years. And then Nick Cardwell, our O-line coach. I actually coached him for 1 year when he was at App. So that's another thing that kind of drew me here, was just the instant connection and chemistry that we would have in that offensive staff room. So it makes for a seamless transition.
What's the Georgia State? You guys all, not only Appalachian State, but it seems like everybody's touched down at Georgia State as well.
Well, Sean Elliott, who was the head coach there, we were Sat, Coach Spear, myself, and Sean were all together for those 3 national championships at App. And then the upset at Michigan, we were all together. And so Sean left, went to South Carolina for several years as an OL coach, and then he gets the Georgia State job, and that's the connection there.
Kind of out of left field, but has anything surpassed that day in Ann Arbor?
That was a special day. I think it's the biggest upset in college football history. And we were a good program, but we were still, FCS school at that time. We were coming off 2 consecutive national championships and had a lot of those guys back and knew we had a solid team, but Michigan's ranked 5th in the country, and we go in there to the big house and pull that off. And it was a special day. I don't know if I'll ever have that feeling again, just the excitement of what we accomplished there with that group.
Still remember when the kick was blocked, or did you black out?
I was actually sitting next to Scott up in the press box, and I think he grabbed me, as a matter of fact, kind of shook me like, can you believe it? But you do have a little bit of a blackout moment there, with as much as excitement was going on at the time.
So you would have, been at App when you guys started running inside zone, and
Yeah.
I think probably when Dwayne was there going outside stuff, right?
I was not there when Coach Ledford was. I had gone by then, but the inside zone was a big play for us at that time, and it's kind of always been a play that I've kind of hung my hat on at the different stops that I've had. And then Dwayne being there and Coach Satterfield, when he was the head coach at App, they kind of got to the outside zone off the ground, and it has been a phenomenal play, for them since that time, and that'll be a staple of our offense for sure.
So I was mentioning, since you guys have been apart, he's added some things. Obviously, you have too. What are some of those, maybe outside of the outside zone, that he does a little differently than last time you were with him, and maybe you've added to?
I think, even though we ran tempo back in those days, I think I've kind of upped that up a little bit, been a little bigger part of my game. I think if you look back over the years, at Western Carolina and then at App, Western Carolina, Georgia State, tempo was a huge part of it. And then spacing, just using the entire field, some of the over splits by the receivers, maybe a little bit more RPO, branched out from that standpoint than what Scott's done in the past. But again, our beliefs at the end of the day are very similar. You got to run the football to win championships. He believes that. I believe that. You got to take care of the ball. You got to score touchdowns in the red zone. You can't kick field goals. You got to be very good in the red zone. Obviously the things that everybody says being good on third down, a lot of people put emphasis on third down as being the magical down. I think actually first down is where the magic takes place. You got to be efficient on first down, and that's something we'll talk about a lot. Being first down efficient, you want to gain 4 or more yards. Probably 50% of your first down calls, and then when you get to those third and shorts, it's easy to convert. So we'll preach that, but a lot of our beliefs, align with each other.
Any other questions for Coach? Thank you, sir.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
I think you want that.
You and a lot of the D linemen stayed through winter break here, and or working, doing extra film work. How much did that help, and kind of who led the way on that?
I would say like Malik and Briggs. They're veterans. They know like I expect from a coaching change. I think that was huge because now we're in OTAs. I'm picking up the plays quicker than usual, so I think that was huge.
How tough was all of this to get your brain around when the change happened and new coach coming in, and then it looks like Walt's going to get to stay, and like just take us through that couple weeks of where things were kind of unknown, uncertain.
Yeah, for like when I found out the news, it kind of devastated me because Coach Figgy's like a guy I looked up to when I committed here. That's why I committed early. But I'm from Cincinnati. You know, I take pride in being from Cincinnati, and I couldn't leave. So it wasn't like a huge, because I wasn't planning on leaving anyway. So
About when you found out at least Walt was going to stay, so there was going to be some stability.
No, that was huge. You know, Coach Tu's a guy that helped me like where I'm at right now because he's a guy that challenged me from the get-go. As soon as he got here, he challenged me, and that made me better.
What was it like having Malik back and Briggs back, and you're the PFF king? I mean, you guys have to have all the confidence in the world on that D-line.
Yeah, you know, I take pride in being, you know, the highest rated, but that's in the past. You know, I'm trying to build on that, help, you know, take the leader role this year with Briggs and Malik.
When you saw Louisville had the top sack defense in the country, it's got to be exciting for a defensive lineman.
No, for real. The D-line eating this defense. That's why I enjoy playing in it.
Walk us through your relationship with Coach Brown here since he's taken over. How's that transition been for you?
No, it's huge. I love Coach Brown. He's telling me the nose guard like the important like part of the defense, and I'm going to take pride in that.
How often around campus are you called Dontay or Godfather?
No, it's not a lot, but it's a little Godfather in there, but it ain't that much people. Nah.
Does it look like Briggs and you are going to again split that nose tackle spot, or you think he might? Have you got an indication if he's going to move out? Or
We haven't got that yet.
excited for Monday?
Yeah.
Same deal, I'm sure you'll learn a little bit more, but what are the biggest differences in terms of how it's still a front three, but different scheme? Seems like maybe a little bit more movement than you guys did
Yeah,
last year.
we're just more aggressive this year than last year. That's all.
Coach kind of joked around on your first pitch yesterday, but little do people know after it, you actually caught that home run ball from Cole Harding off the third batter's eye yesterday. Just walk us through what that was like.
No, the crazy part, I was going back in the locker room to change, and then I came back, and he smacked it, and I was like, oh, snap. I looked up, saw it, and I had to go catch it.
What was it like last year as the PFF grades start coming out, and all of a sudden Dontay Corleone's the #1 ranked player in the country? Like, was it hard to get your head around? Were you like, all right, stay focused? What was that experience like?
No, I always believed in myself since day one. You know, I've been doubted basically my whole football career because how small it was. But I don't really look into it for real, you know.
You guys have a special like Coleraine club here. I know, Coach Combs was gone when you were there, but you know yourself and the Paces and Eric Phillips and Ken Willis. I don't know Hicks. You know, a lot of sea rain here around the Sea Paws.
No, I think I can speak for all of us. We take pride in that. Like, I think that's a lot of schools can't say that, or a lot of people can say that. That, you know, we high school teammates, now we college teammates. So yeah.